been doing very much writing lately because I've just had a lot of deadlines, quite a heavy workload, which typically happens at this time of the year. It's a very demanding time of year with my graphic design work. And I was also a little bit stuck on one very minor scene, but I didn't feel like I could move past it because I'm really writing this book in chronological order. Even though I've generally outlined it, I'm not really jumping ahead at all. I'm trying to basically write it from start to finish. So it's really hard for me to get stuck on a part. I can't just sort of leave it blank and jump ahead. I'm just not writing in that style. And it was a very small, it's a minor scene, but it's actually kind of a catalyst for things that happen a bit later. So it was important that I got it right, and I knew exactly what I wanted to happen, and I knew what the outcome would be and how they would get to that point, but I just wasn't really sure of the exact details because there was an incident that happened, I suppose. It sort of needed to happen over a certain time period, but I was struggling to stretch it out over a few hours and actually make it logical and reasonable and realistic. But I also didn't want to overwork the scene. I needed to create the feeling that the time had passed in the reader's mind without being overly elaborate, if that makes sense. And so it's quite hard for me to figure out how to give it kind of an overview of the afternoon without making it really detailed. So I was sort of involving other characters and creating this whole scene, but it was just getting too big for what it really needed to be. I was a little bit stuck in terms of moving forward in the story, and whenever I did have the time to write, I felt like I wasn't really making progress because I needed to really think about this scene. And so I had a chat with a friend of mine who has been reading the book as I go, she's basically a beta reader who is keeping the story in check and making sure that it flows and that it's realistic and all of that. So anyway, I had a chat to her about it and explained how I was making this a huge thing. It's a minor event. I described the scene and how I wanted to kind of get from A to B, and she had a really good point that she felt that the way that I was describing the scene in its simplicity was very believable to her, that time could have passed without the character realizing what the time was. Because of events that had happened earlier in the book that led her to believe that was pretty natural for his character to be that way. And that was really nice because I know my character really well. I know him inside out, my main character, all my characters. But like I've said before, it's hard for me to look at things objectively and to know that the reader would get that same impression. So just having that confirmation was really nice. So now I'm going to try and push forward with this scene. Keep it as simple as it needs to be. Not overwrite it, but try to just make it feel realistic, and I'll just keep pushing through, and then finally I can move on to the rest of the story. Because after this one small scene happens, I'm hoping to jump ahead to the next time period, which may be a couple of years into the future. So that's why I really rate having somebody or a few people who can be, whether they're beta readers or consultants in some way, giving you some amount of feedback so that you know that your story is on track. It's really helped me to know that what's going on up here is being expressed in a convincing way. Onwards with the story. And I've mentioned before that I'm a really slow typer. I've never learned how to actually touch type, and whenever I have tried to learn, I just get really frustrated and go back to my own really lame way of typing. Throughout this whole month, I've been doing a typing course, just 5 to 15 minutes each day, almost every day, to try and improve my writing speed. I will be coming out with a video that shows that whole process, and hopefully with an improved word count per minute typing speed. Onwards with the writing.